Hello, everybody. Let's talk a little bit of Leeds United stuff, shall we? Because, very interestingly, we have hit a little bit of a position where, despite thinking it's going to be a very, very quiet day of transfer news for Leeds, we just keep making huge moves. And I have to firmly disagree with Mr. The Nib in the chat, who is absolutely wrong on this one. We are signing some excellent players time and time again. Because Leeds United are currently set for a Euros star to come in, someone that continually makes his way into their Euros side, which is really good to see. It's a genuinely talented player, and we are reportedly pushing hard for the move. Now, gonna find the specific deets and everything and bring them up on the background pages just so I can share them all with you. But we are making a move for a €9 million attacker, which I think would be absolutely huge. So I'm going to start by running you through exactly what the news is, because it's probably good to know exactly what the news is. Because if you don't know what the news is, then you're in a little bit of trouble. And this is a tweet from the ever-reliable, honestly, genuinely, actually fairly reliable, the vast majority of the time. I'm just going to do a screen share. Sasha Tavolieri. Leeds United are now pushing hard with Freiburg in order to make Roland Sallai's €9 million deal happen. The right winger's keen on the move, and more to follow. Now, looking at this, I had a little bit of a moment where I was like, can we necessarily trust the source? And I think we absolutely can, because I had a Google around all sorts of different places, and he tends to get 4 or 5 stars in terms of reliability in various places. Very reliable when it comes to Belgium stuff, but that means that he has a lot of discussion with a hell of a lot of divisions in Germany. And I just think it would be a good move. So, following on from that, a lot of people might think, you know what, I kind of recognize the name, but I know I've not seen him play that much. I know that guy. Who is Roland Sallai? Roland Sallai. Oh boy, do I have some things to share with you the moment I bring up his SofaScore page. Roland Sallai is someone that pays for SC Freiburg. Is paid by SC Freiburg, I would assume. And specifically going to bring up his FB ref page in a second. If it wants to load. There we go. Cool. So, share this tab instead. Boom. Roland Sallai. At Freiburg, not the most continuous of goal scorers, but that's not particularly his role. He tends to be a very, very creative force out on that right flank and can play as a right wing back, which ideally isn't necessarily where we'd put him, but what you might recognize him from is his national team, the Hungarian national side, where he has been playing since the age of 18, has 52 caps so far at the moment, and played at the Euros a bunch, got an assist at the Euros. Has also played World Cup qualifiers, played at the Euros before those ones, where he again got an assist, and is someone that is just fairly continuously in and around that Hungary squad. And it's sort of impressive to be getting 3 starts in a Hungary squad right now at the Euros, considering said Hungary squad is also packed with talent such as Szoboszlai, for example. Just going to try and bring up the specific side around him. Yeah, it's also got Szoboszlai, Schaefer, Barnabas Varga, another very, very good player. Nagy's fantastic. I also slightly confused him a little bit with Sallai, who is a defender, but that's easy to do because Sallai, very, very similar to one another. And listeners to the Square Ball might also have heard this guy quite a bit because West Stand Ralph, who is, I believe, part Hungarian or has Hungarian ancestry, is also a big fan of him and has watched him a lot and thinks that he would be an absolutely fantastic signing. But important question is, how exactly does Roland Sallai play? It's a big question because, let's be honest, a lot of us haven't seen that much of him playing football because we don't watch the Bundesliga too much. Luckily, one of the leagues that we started to cover very recently at work is the Bundesliga. Roland Sallai, I am going to bring up his heat map in a second. Share this tab instead. Scroll down. There's the heat map. That's the wrong season. Bloody do not enjoy SofaScore a lot of the time. 23-24 Bundesliga. No, not 24-25. There we go. Cool. There we go. There's his heat map for last season. Plays very, very hard on the right flank, very, very attacking. But you'll notice something that I also spotted here, which is that he is happy to play across these regions as well. He's happy to play over on the left, happy to play in the middle. That's very number 10 looking, if you ask me. But he's also happy to do the defensive work. He's happy to basically do absolutely everything all over the pitch. In that way, he feels a little bit Stuart Dallasy because there's a hell of a lot of versatility behind him. And in addition to that, I'm liking this little splodge here that says another set piece taker. Absolutely, yes, please. I'm not going to complain about that. So he's someone that can play on the right flank, will often, I think, play in the 10 for us, and looks like he can do a little bit of midfield work. I'd rather him not be the midfielder that we're signing. I'd rather sign a specialist midfielder as well. But if you're looking at absolutely everything, Jesus, he's not a bad option. Not in the slightest. But then you've got another question of what exactly would need doing if we were to sign Roland Sallai. And in my opinion, what we would need to do is fairly simple. He would happily cover that 10 slot. We've got Aronson who can play in the 10. Solomon can play in the 10. Ramazani can drift into the middle. The 10 is covered. Admittedly, it's signing another winger, but he can play on the inside. From that point, I think what we need is we need a central midfielder. Without a doubt, we definitely need a bit more depth there because we've currently got 3 off the top of my head. I guess Aronson can drop in and play there. Piru did a little bit last season, but no one was particularly happy when that happened. And we need a left back because as much as I love Junior Firpo, he can't be the sole left back that we've got in the squad because we know that he has injury issues from time to time. That would be a little bit too much of a risk for me, but who knows? In addition to that, I got a very, very interesting tweet from someone earlier that pointed out that there is an incoming private jet from Bournemouth to Leeds today, which I thought was very, very interesting. Could always be a bunch of nothing, but it was booked at the last minute and during the transfer window. Very interesting, especially when we've just been linked with Max Aarons. So that would cover a fullbacky slot, especially if we've got Sam Byram potentially as the left back cover. Wouldn't be too happy with that. Would prefer a specialist left back, especially since I'm not sure Byram enjoys it on the left as much as Firpo does and isn't quite as good at the attacking side of things, but it's fine. But this also leaves some general questions on the overall strategy, and I am streaming this at the moment if you're watching afterwards. So if you fancy and you see me live, pop along. But I'm going to launch a poll in the chat right now. That's a good point. It could be Max Aarons. It could be Philip Billing. Who knows? Maybe it's both. That'd be fantastic. But I'm going to pop a poll in the chat. How do you feel about the transfer strategy this window? Great, good. And then bad. Okay. So what I've done is I've asked a poll in the chat asking about the overall strategy in the transfer window because I think it's really something that's interesting to look at this season so far. Also, holy shit, thank you so much, Sam Walkwood. I massively appreciate that. Lovely little super chat. Thank you. Yeah, it's sort of interesting, our transfer strategy this window, because it looks like what we had basically done is we'd known the players that might leave, and then we've waited for them to leave before we signed replacements, which is an interesting approach, not necessarily a good approach. But I think having a look at what we've done thus far, very interesting. There should arguably be a wait and see option. Hold on. I will fix that and redo the poll. Sorry, I am also talking to chat if you're watching afterwards. What do you think of this transfer strategy so far? Is it great? Is it good, but waited too long? Is it bad, or is it ask again on Friday when I will be doing a live stream on deadline day? So join us. That's going to be a good time. Launch that poll. Fantastic-dozy. Good evening, Danny. How's it going? Hopefully very, very well. But when it comes to the overall transfer strategy, I think I'm sort of okay with it right now because it's like we built lists of players that we would want in the event that we were to sell. And then when we've sold, we've hello lighting, what are you doing? And then when we've sold, we've gone and signed the players that we were looking for. And that is ultimately what we sort of needed to do, you know? Replacing Rutter was always going to be tough, was always going to require 2 players. And then we've done Sallai and Solomon, which ain't bad. And in terms of gaps remaining in the squad, there's not a huge amount there. Like, we're roughly sort of okay. There's not really a problem with that. I'm feeling very, very happy with the strategy right now. I would have rather, in terms of like mental health and comfort, us do this a lot earlier in the window. But if we end up securing all of these signings, because Tavolieri is not a bad person to be making these links, if we do secure these signings, it's going to be huge. It's going to be an absolute difference maker. But after all, that is what I think on the situation. I'm going to hop over to what you guys think, and I'm going to open up Questions Corner. But I'm going to open up Questions Corner properly in a moment, just because YouTube is doing that thing where it's telling me to run ads again. I'm going to click the ad button. The way that you can get rid of them faster is just click on the ad, swipe backwards to the live stream. What happens then is YouTube pays me more for the ad, YouTube gets paid more by the advertiser, and you get back to the content faster. It's just better for everyone, except the advertiser who pays more money, but then again, they're the people trying to waste your time. So, popped an ad in now, and then we will dive head first into Questions Corner, which should be quite nice. On this, have we done Sallai? We have not confirmed him yet. It is looking like it is a move that we are actively working on. The specific wording used by Sasha Tavolieri was Leeds United are now pushing hard with Freiburg to make Roland Sallai €9 million deal happen. The winger is keen on the move, more to follow. Which is a good little bit of information, in my opinion. That is a very, very nice start that shows that we're definitely pushing on the right path. We knew that we had interest. Another link from Philippines from Sky Sports News in Germany. Leeds Express interest in Freiburg's Roland Sallai. There's already contact between the player and the club. The exchange is concrete. A first division French club is also interested in Sallai. Let's not get road again. That would be bad. The Athletic is also reporting on the interest. Sallai is open to a new challenge. I'm going to check what the Athletic said on this, because that would be very interesting. Chelsea have signed another goalkeeper for 8 years. Is he a goalkeeper? Yes. Stop signing goalkeepers, Chelsea. Jesus Christ. They've got like 8. It's nuts. It would have been Nancy, wouldn't it? If it's with the Athletic. So let's check that. Yeah, it looks like it's definitely on. At least the conversation is happening. Nancy Froston has not said anything about it, so I'm just going to head over to the Athletic myself. Also smash a like and subscribe. That's always massively appreciated. I'm trying to get myself to 5,000 subscribers as soon as possible. That'd be absolutely fantastic if you guys could help me on the route to that. Let's get that pigeon army a little bit bigger. That's going to sound weird without context, isn't it? But I like to think that I'm going to get there as soon as. That'd feel real good. Is it just going to be on their rolling transfer news page? Would it have been on Steam? Okay, yeah, it was reported 3 hours ago by Colin Miller at The Athletic, and it's just a sort of like linked mention. The only line that is on Roland Sallai here is, last night Ornstein reported that Manor Solomon's loan from Spurs to Leeds was expected today. He'll join on a straight loan without an option to buy. Returned from a serious injury in pre-season, not featured in Spurs' matchday squad yet this season. Leeds are also interested in a move for Freiburg winger Roland Sallai. Very nice. Very, very nice. It was also reported 13 hours ago that we were interested in a Sallai move, but we hadn't made a formal offer at that point, but it now looks like we have. Freiburg were approached for comment and have not yet since commented to The Athletic, which I think is very interesting. Didn't I read that Nancy was on holiday? Maybe she is. It's a bad time to go on holiday unless she's going until like Wednesday. But either way. Then again, like, if I remember right, Evie's on holiday right now, and it's like, I kind of get it, because you get away from the stress of the transfer window, which is a nightmare. Definitely building for the Premier League. It's sensible building assets that can then be sold on for profit. Yeah, I mean, looking at it, we're not going to sign Manor Solomon permanently, which would leave us with 2 wingers, which 3 wingers. Sorry, I forgot about Ramazani, which isn't going to be enough for the Premier League. So if we've signed Sallai at the same time, pushing forwards, very nice. In terms of numbers, Sallai isn't too bad. He's gotten 27 goals in 162 matches for Freiburg, but as we've seen, plays like relatively defensively. At least according to the heat map that I showed you a couple of minutes ago. 27 years of age, so not too bad. He's not necessarily going to increase in value, but there's also a potential argument that if we do get promoted, then by nature his value would increase. Because that's what happens when you're in the Premier League. Your players are worth more money because they're Premier League players, and you don't need to sell because you've got Premier League money coming in. It's definitely building not only for promotion, but for what happens if promotion does happen. Still think Vuba will go, and then we need cover. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one where we'll react when it comes to it. Like, there's still plenty of players that will be looking for loans and stuff in the Premier League. Specifically, I am looking quite hard at Chelsea at the moment and going, you're not holding on to all of those players. That's a hell of a lot of footballers. So it's worth looking at, I think. Also, yeah, this was a wild take that we're not signing any good footballers. Sallai has appeared at many a Euros, is a constant in the Hungarian national team, which is not a bad side, and plays consistent football in the Bundesliga. It's a poor take, to be honest. On if I see Sallai happening, I think if it's gotten to the stage where the interest is leaking out, we know what the 49ers are like, and we know that they're going to push hard for it. Admittedly, a hell of a lot of deals will have been discussed left, right, and centre, but if you compare the business that we're doing, so we're potentially signing Roland Sallai for 9 million euros. Gonna compare that to pounds. In pounds, that's 7.5 million, right? For a international footballer that plays consistent football, decent standard. Compare that with the business that Burnley is doing right now, right? Details on Hannibal Mabry's move from Man United to Burnley. The 21-year-old will arrive for initial 5.4 million quid with £4 million in add-ons and bonuses. They are paying £2 million more than we are for a midfielder that does not have that much senior football experience, and when he has, he's not impressed. And they've had to offer a sell-on clause, and they've had to offer a buyback option. We're in a really good place with this. This is a really good deal for us if we get it done. I hope it does. That'd be brilliant. But I guess we'll have to see. And it's a spot where it's very confusing. How will this signing affect Joseph? I don't think this signing does affect Joseph, because as we've been sort of doing throughout the window, we've not signed a 9, which is good, because by refusing to sign a 9, we're effectively sort of avoiding blocking that pathway for Matteo, which is perfect. I like us not blocking that pathway up, because keeping that pathway Matteo'd, and the only people that can potentially infringe on that are Bamford or Piru, who we know are happy to work together with Joseph rather than be hard competition, is good. To be completely honest with you, I think we're good. Portuguese outlet reporting we are interested in winger El Bashir Baloumi. We're linked to every winger. I've never heard of El Bashir Baloumi. 22 years of age, plays for Florence. He's got 7 in 34, which isn't bad, to be fair to him. Got a contract until 2026 with a €5 million release clause. Never mind, he had a contract extension in January, which saw his release clause rise to €15 million. I think if we're looking at it from a strictly businessy perspective, when it comes to Baloumi, I think he's someone that's further down the list. Because we've got a lot of reported interest in Sallai, which is good. but it's also 9 million euros for a player that is more proven and is definitely of the same standard as Bashir Baloumi. I think Bashir Baloumi would be a player that has a lot of potential going into the future, but I don't think we'd want to spend 6 million euros more if we didn't need to get it done. If that all makes sense. Does Sallai Solomon coming in mean that players are exiting also? I don't think so. I think it's fine. Like, I think we're in a position where the players have already exited. Like, Rutter has left. Some of it left. And this is just covering the replacements there. I think it's a case of we're lining other players up for the Baloumi example, for instance, for if we end up losing some of our players, but I don't think there's any sort of guarantee that we will do. I think we're in a good spot there, I think. 1 second. I'm just gonna hop over and see if there's any potential redirects for after the stream. Bloody hell, Wayneman. Normally you're streaming today. But let's check through more of the comments, shall we? Loan deals or players no one's ever heard of. The only reason you've not heard of Roland Sallai is because you don't know ball. The only reason you didn't know about Ramazani is because you don't know ball. The only reason that you're complaining that we're getting Solomon on loan is because I don't know. Signing loan players is fine. Did you complain about signing Ben White when we were in the championship last time round? I hope not, because he got us promoted. Or are we going to admit that loan players can be fine? Especially when they're genuinely good footballers like Solomon. Admittedly, a little bit injury prone, but we've got cover. Being Ramazani, James, Nonto, potentially Sallai when we sign him. Sallai would be a fantastic signing. Absolutely. I don't see why we're complaining, to be completely honest with you. The fact that you don't know the name of a player doesn't mean that they're a bad player. That just means that you don't know them. That's it. There isn't a Just Joe raid because I know he's not been streaming. Come on, let's not get daft. And it's the pigeon raid that you need to be really afraid of. Powerful, powerful pigeon raids. Buy low and Sallai, I love that. That's fantastic. Joe's having it very well. It is incredibly well earned. Absolutely. I'm absolutely not going to begrudge him of that in the slightest. I was planning on doing a big rest day myself and just streaming tonight, but I eventually decided to not. Oh, my voice is going. This happens when you stream every day for quite a long time. I think the one issue that I'm going to have this season is I've promised to stream every day until we lose in the league. If we're building the squad that it looks like we're building, I could be in deep shit right now. Also, yes, smash a like. That'd be massively appreciated. Also, do you want me to call you Wigan Joker or Warpig now? That's quite complicated. Also, it's doing the ad things. Click on the ad, swipe back to the video. That's better for everyone. Sorry, YouTube's doing it. We're clear. Right. Is Gelhardt going and Sallai comes in? That's an incredible update. That'd be fantastic, to be completely honest with you. Insulting your audience, Joe. I'm not insulting the wider audience. The wider audience, I love you guys. You're fantastic. When someone comes in and is like, YouTube's stupid, not YouTube, more sort of along the lines of Ariel ad. Ooh, why Ariel? Yeah, when someone comes in and is like, the club is stupid, I've never heard of this person. You don't know of this person because you don't watch as much football as their fans. Come on. Not as the fans, as the scouts. As you can tell, I'm very, very tired. Ariel ad MSC Cruise is now. It ran 2? Why did it run 2? Okay. But yeah, it's. I'm in a spot where I understand that there are people that are paid to watch a hell of a lot more football than I do. Like, I'm paid to watch football, but I admit that I don't know as much as football scouts because they know what they are doing. Like, I would never go into a conversation with Lockie and be like, I know more than you, because I don't. And on, like, the ladder of football scouts, It's like when you see someone that can do a front flip, and it's a really clean front flip, and you're like, Jesus, you should be a gymnast. But then you look layers above them, and you're like, oh, you're on like the 8th rung down of gymnasts. Like Lockie, incredible knowledge, big brain, but he would admit that compared to like people at the top of the game and that are employed by Premier League Championship sides, he's not in the same conversation. And even he knows significantly more ball than anyone in this chat right now. Unless Lockie's in this chat right now. That'd be quite nice. Yeah, basically, people are paid to know who is good at football. If you're not someone that is paid to know who is good at football, then admit that you probably don't know as much about football as those people do. Because that would be tough. All these budding superstars again. You're not a budding superstar if you repeatedly play in Euros and World Cup qualifiers for your country, unless your country is Gibraltar. He consistently plays in the Bundesliga. I wouldn't call him budding because he's 27 years of age. We're making good signings. Let's just admit it. Me insulting people, I can't see that. I did miss the beginning. It's more of a... where was the comment I was initially replying to? Loan deals are players no one's ever heard of. The only reason that people are complaining that they've not heard of people is because the people that haven't heard of the likes of Sallai or Ramazani don't necessarily know ball. That's all I'm saying. Less insulting people, more of a making note that people should recognise where there are gaps in their knowledge. Yeah, he's a full international for a very genuinely strong international side. There's no real argument to be had there. Very, very, very good player with a very high ceiling. Or Scotland or Wales. Yeah, I mean, wait, where did this come from? Not really. One of us two is paid to watch Bundesliga football, and I don't think it's you. But anyway, let's hop back to Questions Corner. Any questions about Leeds United's transfer business or what is going on with Leeds United would be absolutely fantastic. I might also pop on a little bit of background Bimbus Nimbus. But let me know, because it's nice and boopy and boppy. I love the opportunity to have a career in football, but it wasn't on the curriculum last century, and as for playing, my knees went south in my early teens. Mine did that. It's great. I love it. I've also got a dodgy hip, which is fun. It's a little bit hanky-janky, but yeah. Yeah, if you are in the chat and notice that more people are getting Malarkey style, that would be because yesterday I looked through my chat filters and stuff and noticed that it had like auto-blocked a few people, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I cleared that out. And more people like Chris are back, which is great. Been watching football since before you were born. Clearly you weren't watching very well. Or very recently. Unless next you're going to suggest that we sign Owen Hargreaves as Nate, in which case you definitely were watching before I was born. Sallai be huge. Absolutely. He's one of those players that is happy to cover the entire pitch. And he's happy to do it relatively, if I remember correctly, injury-free. Jesus, I'm talking about someone saying they're an experienced footballer and they're less than a year older than me. Fuck. I'm aging. I don't like it. Also, interestingly, he's very, very signable because his contract expires next June. Which, his current market value on Transfermarkt, for example, is 15 million euros. But 1 year left on the contract means that we can likely look around that 9 million euro figure, which is good. Love it. Can we sign Hamer just to piss off Oiler? I don't think we need to sign Hamer if we're going to get Sallai done. I think Hamer is, at the very least, Sallai standard. Other way around. Sallai is at the very least Hamer standard. So it's hard to say. Joe is back on. As in me Joe or as in Wayman Joe? I don't know who I'm meaning. It confuses me. Everything confuses me. It's fine. It cost us apparently £7 million. It's 7.5 if it ends up being the 9 million. Just Joe, is he? Also, I've got this song on a loop, so I'll probably need to stop running that loop. But we'll call that our wonderful little questions corner theme, because we do love a bit of Bimbus Nimbus, and I missed it, to be honest with you. What happened to going up last season, fella? What happened was we got enough points that would get us promoted most seasons, and we got to the playoff final, and we lost 1-0, and one of our wingers hit the underside of the bar after basically getting a concussion in the 90th minute. So we weren't far off. Let's be completely honest here. Just had the notification. Ooh, fantastic. I will set up a redirect and then head over to there. I'm guessing you guys know exactly what to say, by the way, when it comes to raiding, because you guys have named yourselves the Pigeons a lot of the time. So I'm going to set up a redirect in a moment. Bosh. I'm going to end the stream in a minute. And we are going to, if you could copy the text that I have popped in the chat and post that in the chat the moment we head over. I'm going to end the stream in a moment, which would be fun. And yeah, we'll head over there in a moment. Hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, like, subscribe if you're not yet. Even become a channel member. It's 99p for a month, so it gets you a bunch of videos early, and I can do some members only streams at some point, which would be quite nice. But I hope you enjoyed the stream. Like, subscribe, become a member, and I will see you later. Remember, up the pigeons, pigeon raid over in Joe's chat in a minute. See you shortly.